All right, optimizing PPC weekly. Using the last 2 months of data mixes the recent changes with older data. Is there a way to isolate and analyze the performance of recently optimized keywords to see their impact? My initial response is, why are you looking at 2 months to make changes? I would look at much shorter time frames. Now, you can drive yourself up a wall trying to be as incremental as possible for very minimal impact, because trust me, I've been down that rabbit hole. It's intense. It's ridiculous. One is you can use a software that is going to calculate when was the last bid, take into account those adjustments, and then make optimizations on that. If you really, 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 really want to go through and analyze, specifically from last bid change and then track and readjust, I would recommend software. Now, we did use some amazing software at one point, tested, not really used, where it literally, like, every single keyword, you could pop down a grid and it would show you when the last change in like this chart. It was fantastic. You know what? We're not using that anymore. It was fantastic data. We spent way too much time over analyzing anything. And if I'm being perfectly frank with you, the results of the optimizations that we were making on those observations, if anything, had marginal impact. And to be honest, I don't really think they made much impact. So my recommendation to you, it sounds like you may be doing manual optimizations, potentially through bulk files or some other ways. What I would say is, if you want to figure out what is happening right now, look at a shorter time frame. Shorter to me is like last 14 days. I think you guys do, well, I'm not sure what date ranges you guys look at, so I'd be interested to hear your perspective on that, Mina. But also, it is helpful to look at 2 months of data if you're specifically trying to find like those low clicks. So I do like a longer date range if I'm looking for things like what has clicks with no sales, because sometimes if you're looking at 7 days, like maybe you only got 2 clicks, where if I looked at a 2-month span, I'm going to see, oh wow, this thing got like 20 clicks. I should totally take action here. That's what I would be looking at. I like longer date ranges for like slow bleeders, shorter date ranges for all of those fast moving items that you need to figure out what's happening right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I'll tell you one thing. We try and look at the amount of spend since the last optimization. I think that is, for me, the most telling. So it's like I look at a keyword and it was optimized on Monday. If 2 days later it spent $15, that's enough data on a $30 product, for example. That's enough data for me. So I'm actually not looking at time ranges as much. I'm looking at what spend has the keyword done since the last optimization and trying to evaluate it again, from that point. I know PPC Ninja, I think her software helps with that.
Yeah.
So that is really useful. One thing that I use 2 months data for. So you mentioned a really good point, the very low spenders, but there's also what I noticed is, and this is something that we have like an internal auditor. I can introduce you to her. She's amazing. But she would find keywords that were profitable and negative or paused. And I would be like, guys, why did we pause this? They're like, well, when we looked at it, it was $30 in spend and no sales. But that was an attribution thing. So we paused it, but then we waited 2 weeks, went back, or waited a month, went back and looked at it. And it was actually attributed to like 3 sales. So it's actually $20 in spend and like 60 sales. And it was like all of a sudden profitable. So that's where I would really start using the 2 months of data is, yes, the low spending ones, but also what did you pause or add as a negative that later on became profitable. And then it was like, okay, let's unpause it or let's remove it from negative. But besides that, like if you're trying to figure out like, how do I mix date ranges? Don't focus on date ranges. Just focus on, since the last optimization, did I spend enough money? Did I get data? Now can I make a decision? The thing that makes it very difficult is all these keywords are spending at different times. And so it becomes a challenge to do it. I'm not going to lie. It's very challenging. And I think that's why I think maybe PPC Ninja is a very good software. But if you're doing it manually, it's just simply, set a timeline for yourself and say, okay, I'm gonna optimize on Monday, and then from then on, I'm gonna look every single day since Monday, and only the keywords that have spent enough money, I'm gonna evaluate them, and then I'm gonna make a decision on them. Other than that, I'm not gonna touch them.
Yeah, definitely. And this is kind of along those same lines, so I'm just gonna bump this one in real quick. It's like, how often do you adjust bids and like cleaning keyword lists? I think this kind of goes back to date ranges, but when you're looking at it, like how often are you guys looking at it?
Yeah, I think for cleaning the keyword lists, again, it's fully dependent dependent on spend. So almost
Yeah.
daily or every other day, team is required in their ClickUp, like kind of, it's like you have to do it three
Yeah.
times a week at least, right? Like Monday,
Yeah.
Wednesday, Friday, because I don't want a keyword to spend $20 and no sales and then still be spending. Cleaning that is a very recurring thing. Adjusting the bids is exactly what I described. We have the clients that are spending $100 a day, and it could be what we can only adjust bids once a week because it takes that long to get the data. Or we have the clients that are spending 1,000 a day, and then it's every other day. All the keywords have spent $15-20, and we can make new decisions.
Yeah. I don't know if you also kind of cringe at like some of the advice sometimes where it's like, all right, put it up, wait 2 weeks, then go check it. I'm like, all right, even if you're not making an adjustment within that first week, like maybe
Check
you should
it.
at least check it. At least go check it. Just look at it. Even if you're not going to make changes, just go look at it.
I agree.
Here's an interesting one. I have some thoughts here, but how to increase sales velocity. I mean, we talked about ranking and sales velocity.
Okay, so here's all the things that you can do. Increase conversion rate. Again, we covered it's going to be your main image, your listing images, videos on the listing, your brand story, your premium A plus content, title and your bullet points optimization, discounts and coupons, reviews, reviews and price. So all of those things improve your click-through rate. So again, main image, price, reviews, those are the biggest ones that you can do. Discounts and coupons help as well. And then when it comes to PPC, increasing bids, increasing budgets, increasing bids by placement. The more that you show up, the more people will see you, and the more people see you, the more people will click on you, right? Because it's just kind of a ratio. That's essentially everything that you can do. Also, obviously, like external traffic helps. What I've seen with TikTok Shop, I want to touch on it quickly, is even though we're break even or not even that profitable on TikTok, but because we're launching so many videos and spending money on ads and showing it to so many people, we've noticed that the TikTok audience likes to go and search for branded keywords on Amazon. So they'll say like MMA nutrition, electrolytes. And not only is that helping our like organic ranking for our branded searches, we're also noticing like an impact on organic rank on all the keywords. And we've known like this hint of like Amazon loves external traffic because it's rewarding you for bringing people outside of the platform into the platform. Those are the things that you can do to increase your sales velocity.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. I mean, honestly, sales is a function of two things: traffic to the listing and the conversion rate on that traffic. So me is saying PPC is definitely a function of like, hey, drive the heck out of traffic, offsite advertising like TikTok, anything that's going to drive the traffic, do that. Click the rate, to your point, increases traffic, more people clicking into the listing. And then you want to focus in on things that are going to optimize that conversion rate. So can I get more of the traffic I already have to convert?